Hi, this is Savannah,
And this is Brian from the Dorky Diva Show,
and you're listening to Star Wars.
the best place for below average Star Wars.
The Dorky Diva Show presents
Why is this seat so much more comfortable?
the long-awaited sequel to the adventures of the Zolan Dart audio drama.
Have you seen the captain's datapad?
Trying to work, Murph.
Piloting the Zolan Dart by himself,
You do understand the details of this particular job, correct?
I've been on plenty of jobs like this. With you!
Reldar Sias returns to a planet he thought he'd left behind for good.
Is there a reason you didn't mention I was tagging along?
Hopefully having you there will make others think twice about messing with me.
Making new friends
Oh, you must be the pilot of the Zolan Dart, yes?
I guess I am.
and reconnecting with old ones,
Reldar?
Vera?
What are you doing here?
until past grudges resurface.
I'd be minding my own business if I were you.
Well, if your business wasn't being handled right in front of my face, maybe I could mind my own business. We have to leave. Now.
Why the rush all of a sudden?
We're in trouble.
If it isn't little Reldar Sias.
Hey, Yorick. Long time no see.
Roz already knows you're here.
Oh.
Look who decided to come home.
Reldar must confront his origin,
I must admit, I never saw this as being a part of your past, Softshell.
or let it define his future.
I will get what is owed to me, no matter the cost.
Because what Roz is trying to do is wrong.
Says you.
My blasters, we're going to need these. Take that, Sleemo!
Who do you think you are?
The Adventures of the Zolan Dart, Episode 2, coming soon.
Welcome to Star Wars, best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. I am the Geordie Jedi Pete.
And I am Jason Hondo Ling.
Jason, it's lovely to hear your lovely voice again. We're here to talk Star Wars. Are you excited to talk some Star Wars today?
Oh, definitely. There's been a lot going on, and we've had a couple of weeks' rest. I think we've all been really busy. And now it's time. We've got, I think, 10 days to go until the arrival of Ahsoka. And also, obviously, we've had a lot of great announcements coming through over the last few weeks.
Yeah, we definitely have. So, we've got a couple of talking points that we've got listed, but also we might go off topic a bit and talk about some of the things because there has been a lot going on over the past few weeks. And obviously, hype is at an all-time high for the Ahsoka series coming out in 10 days' time. Obviously, they've got the double episode premiere coming, which is going to be wonderful. But the first topic I want to speak about is obviously the Lando Calrissian series. So if you put your minds back to 2020, obviously it was sort of announced that there was going to be a Lando series going into sort of development, shall we say. They were looking at it. They'd hired a guy called Justin Simon to sort of write the show and showrun it. And that's like 3 years ago now. But news has come out just recently saying that Donald Glover, who obviously played the young Lando Calrissian in the Solo movie, and his brother Stephen Glover, are apparently now signed up to write the Lando series, and that Justin Simon has exited the project. Now, this switch took place before the writer's strike began, but again, we find ourselves talking about sort of a series that hasn't really seen the light of day. We don't really know anything about it, but here we go. We've got a change of direction, shall we say, on the project. Even with these guys coming on, it still doesn't mean it's going to get made. It just means it's being developed. And, the amount of projects that get developed across all of Hollywood, to be fair. Like, only a fraction of them actually see the light of day and get made fully. But obviously, what were your thoughts, Jason? I'm really curious to know what your thoughts were. Like generally just about a Lando series, and then obviously what's your thoughts on maybe Donald Glover being more hands-on with it now?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Lando's one of those characters that he's got a really big place in the Star Wars mythos. And obviously Billy D. Williams, absolutely brilliant guy. And seeing him when he came back for the Rise of Skywalker, that was really special. And he still had the magic twinkle in his eye. I know he's made a few comments about, looking forward to a Lando series and stuff like that. And I find myself, quite excited by the idea of it because I think it would be a great character to explore. Donald Glover is a really, really clever actor. I watched the series that he was in, The Community, which was a really, really clever series, even though it had quite a lot of controversy about it. And I quite like the idea of him taking a more hands-on approach and guiding where the process goes with the character. At the same time, I recently started rewatching the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and I almost feel like it'd be nice to see maybe the older Lando telling the story of his adventures. But yeah, it's just something. It's a series, we don't know where they're going to go with it. We don't know how it's going to go. But it's something that, it's if they develop it and it comes out well, I'd quite like to see it.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, when they announced the Lando series, I thought, it's probably a good idea. Donald Glover's his stock's really high. I love his show, Atlanta, which he actually does co-write with his brother Stephen. So,
Yeah.
I love that show. I love the humor in it. I think the guys, if you look at Childish Gambino, his music act, he's on fire and he's a creative guy. He likes being engaged, likes working on things, and he's really, really good. So when they first announced the series, I was like, oh, good, I'm glad to see they're going to take advantage of this guy being young and available. But then obviously, he wasn't really writing the series. That makes sense back then. Obviously, we've had the pandemic and we've been through all of that. And then, now he's more hands-on. So I think for me, I'm excited for Lando series. I think it really could work. And I think there's loads of different ways you could do it. I think the way you spoke about it there, Jason's a really good idea where you have sort of, you could have the old Orlando, Billy D. Williams sort of telling tales, and then it cuts to the action, and that's where you have Donald Glover's Lando. Something I think they might. I don't know how this will work. 'Cause I don't know how capable Billy D is now with his age and his conditions. But obviously, the setup sort of in the new canon and in the new trilogy, in the sequels that Lando's child had been stolen, and he went looking for that child and never found the child. And at the end of Rise of Skywalker, it's very much seemed like he was going to go off into the galaxy with Jana to maybe find his daughter. So I wonder if they could set it up where, do they have flashbacks to sort of, does Lando go back on the hunt for his daughter as Billy D. Williams, and then we also sort of tie it in with the younger Lando also looking for his daughter in that time frame, but that could be a bit complex, I suppose, and a bit weird to shoot. But either way, to show you could do really well. I think, with the Lando series, if let's say if they did it like the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, it's a sort of each episode's like a new adventure. Maybe they all connect at the end. The budget could be quite relatively, medium. You could shoot it on sort of onboard spaceships. You wouldn't need to have many spaceship battles, but onboard spaceships and then in like inside bars on planets, if that makes sense. Because that's where there's a lot of his business. He's in cantinas, in bars, in casinos, gambling, drinking, mingling. So I think you could do that like relatively cheap compared to say something like Ahsoka, where it has to be grand and epic. This can be more smaller scale and about the character and what the character is doing, if that makes sense.
I was going to say, character based is what I think this one needs to be. And I think that's what Donald Glover will bring to it. I think you hit the nail on the head there.
No, definitely. So I'm going to put you in the hot seat. Will the Lando series be made?
I'd like to think it will, but with the state of everything that's going on at the moment, I'm not 100% convinced. You know, there's a lot going on with Disney, a lot going on with Lucasfilm, and obviously with the strikes that are going on, there's a lot of things that Donald Glover's not going to sit around wanting to hang around hoping to get this series done. If he's going to do it, he's going to want to get it going and get it done. I think so. There's a lot riding against it, and I know I've said in the past that Lucasfilm and Disney have announced stuff, and then it's not worked out. This obviously came out of there'd been lots of talk about the Lando recently, and then this revelation came out that Donald Glover and Stephen Glover were working on it, and I just hope it does happen and they do manage to do it. But there's so much going on with Star Wars, who knows? Like you say, stuff goes into development and then doesn't happen. They even shoot pilots costing millions and then the show doesn't get picked up. But admittedly, with everything that's going on at the moment, it could actually be quite a wise choice to go, because obviously we are moving forwards and backwards, but the fans still love the legacy characters. But with Lando, it's a legacy character that isn't necessary. We don't know a huge amount about him, but he's a strong enough character that we want to know about him. So who knows? With the way the world's going at the moment, I wouldn't like to second guess.
Yeah, I think for me, obviously, with Donald and Stephen coming on to write, which is what they're reporting, they currently can't write, they can't do anything with it, and those guys won't be. So, and who knows when this is going to end? To be honest with you, so straight away we're sort of at a disadvantage straight away. I think, as you said, if I had to put money on it being made, I'd probably put money on it not being made if it was me. But I hope it does get made and prove me wrong. But I just think with the current climate and with how busy Donald will be, once things start back up again, like he'll be very busy, And I think we've had some mixed messages out of Lucasfilm. We've had, after Solo came out and after the dissecting of it, I think Kathleen Kennedy came out and said, we're not gonna recast any more legacy characters. We're gonna stay away from them, and we're just gonna focus on sort of current characters and new ones. So this is sort of it's not quite opposite this, because I suppose they'd already done it. They'd already cast and he'd already portrayed Lando in a movie, Donald Glover. So I suppose they'd already done it. But that statement made me think, oh well, maybe they'll stay away from that. Do you know what I mean? But who knows? I suppose. But I think, Bob Iger, he's doesn't do many things wrong, and I see him as probably the greatest CEO in the world. He's made some mistakes recently, especially with some of the comments he's made about the strikes, in my opinion. And everybody makes mistakes, and it still doesn't make him a bad CEO, because it's probably the first bad thing I've seen him do where he maybe should have thought about something before he said it. But Disney Plus is only going up in price. They've just announced the price hikes. They've just announced the password share, and they're going to make that more difficult. So if they're putting the prices up, they're going to have to give them more content, in my opinion, to make that seem reasonable. And like I said, a Lando series then could be shot relatively on a cheap scale compared to something like Ahsoka or The Mandalorian, if that makes sense. Especially if you're character driven, it's all in the writing, which is what those guys do. So it could be a really, really good idea. But another thing, Billy D's not getting any younger either. So the longer the strike goes on, the longer the development of the series goes, the less chance you've got of Billy D being involved, sadly. Which I want to be involved. Wish him and everyone really nothing but the best of health. But we were all at Star Wars Celebration, we were all at the Return of the Jedi panel, and he is getting old, and Father Time doesn't discriminate. And the longer this goes on, and the longer the production stalls, like I said, the less chance we'll have of sort of Billy being a part of it, which would be a really, really big shame, because even if it is, even if they make the show and it is focused more on Donald's character, for a fact there's going to be some point in the series where, we're going to have Billy D there. So, if they do it, I want that to be able to happen, I suppose. Couple of things for you, I suppose. If the show does happen, and obviously, we do have Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, would you want to see like Han Solo pop in for a few episodes, and the likes of Kira, Chewbacca, things like that?
It's a possibility, but at the same time, I almost don't want them to. I want them to make it more about Lando, and what goes on when Han and Chewie aren't about. I still think that, it'd be a really good opportunity to bring Hondo and Arca into live action, because, obviously Lando's going to deal with pirates, so, perfect chance.
Definitely. And obviously Lando, in that movie went through L3 was a really close friend of his, and he went through losing L3 now. So I wonder how much it would get before we maybe introduce Lobot to the series, and how Lando becomes friends with Lobot and things like that.
That'd be an excellent thing, because Lobot was a character that obviously had very little screen time, but over the years has become quite a popular character alongside Lando, and that relationship would be quite interesting to explore.
Certainly would be. Any closing thoughts on the Lando series before we move on to the next topic, Jason?
I'm not holding out a huge amount of hope, but at the same time, there's always hope.
There is indeed. The primary message of Star Wars. There's always hope.
Yeah.
Speaking of hope, Hasbro Pulse, Haslab, they've announced the new Haslab. It is the Vintage Collection Ghost. It's the biggest ship in history. It's 28 inches by 34 inches. It's over 13 inches tall. There's 24 days left. It has been backed. It needed 8,000 backers to get backed. It's currently at 10,185 backers. So the ship has been backed. So you will get the ship, the Ghost, and it does come with the card back. Vintage Collection Harrison Dula, only available with the ship. The next add-on is Ezra Bridger, carded in the Vintage Collection, and he gets unlocked at 11,000, so not too far away. And then obviously after that we've got Kane, then the next add-on, and then Zeb is the next add-on. So, I have backed it because I really do want this, and I think it's a no-brainer. And the time they've chosen to release it, I think it's absolutely perfect, because you've got to think, there's 24 days left. Ahsoka starts in 10 days, and the Ghost is going to feature prominently, I think, in the series, and so is the Ghost crew. So, I think by the time people start watching the series and they want this Ghost, they're going to still be able to go on and pre-order one. So I can see it shooting up and it matching all its goals once Ahsoka starts, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I personally haven't backed it. One, finances. Two, because I really don't know where I would put the thing. But I would so love to just go for it, because as anyone who knows me knows, the Ghost is and the Phantoms, they're my favourite ships. I've got the original Lego kit. I'm looking forward to the 1st of September. I really want to get the new set of the Ghost for the Lego set. To get the Haslab version would be a dream for me. Sadly, it's not at the moment. So I'd just say, anyone who can back it and, get it for the full glory that they're looking at. Because I've looked at the photos and it just looks like a beautiful, beautiful model.
It certainly is, and I think, they've had a couple of misses lately with the Reva lightsaber, the Rancor, which we've spoke about a lot. But like this is like the perfect product. It's got the perfect add-ons. It's at an expensive price point, but also for what you're getting. I think if you've got that money, you're probably willing to part with it. So I think this is the perfect Haslab, and I'm glad it's back already. It'll be my first one that's been back, which I'm very excited about. And like I said, let's hopefully we get all of the add-ons. Like I said, I think as soon as we start seeing the Ghost in Ahsoka, people are going to be clicking and buying more. And that's what's going to see it all the way through. And we're going to get all 4 figures, which will be absolutely fantastic. Because just think when Ahsoka starts, we get the double episode premiere. So that's in 10 days' time. And then there'll still be 14 days. So there'll still be... So essentially when the ability to buy the Ghost ends, will be 3 episodes into Ahsoka. So, which will be probably about just over a third of the show. So yeah. I think, very, very exciting times on the Haslab front. Obviously, did you see it comes with the Phantom 2 with Chopper?
I did, and that was another reason why I looked seriously at it. Obviously, the one thing that I wanted to know was, are they going to release the Phantom 1 as well? Because that, to me, I love that ship as well. But it's one of those things that I think if you're a collector, this is a no-brainer. And if you're a Rebels fan, it's a no-brainer. And I think, as you say, what they're going to find is there's going to be a lot of Ahsoka fans that are going to fall in love with that ship, and it'll get more backing as the series goes on. I think, as you say, Hasbro have timed it perfectly. For me, I wish I could justify it and do it, but sadly I can't. But anyone who can back it, get out there and back it, because I'd love to see this set, in its full glory.
Definitely. And then should it get backed and should it meet all of its stretch goals and you get all 4 callback figures, I think there'll be situations where I think collectors will be able to justify the payment of it. You could flip those callback figures for maybe £100 each and actually, almost get the ship for free. Keep the ship and flip the figures. Because I think the vintage collection collectors have been waiting a while to get these figures in the line, and the callback's a special callback with the sort of with the Ghost Crew Muriel sort of as the artwork. So it's a collector's daydream really. So yeah, man, really, really exciting times on that front. Speaking of the Ghost and Ahsoka, obviously there's been quite a lot of TV spots getting released recently as the ramp up sort of the last final few weeks of marketing for Ahsoka. Obviously we've been watching them quite a bit. What's your thoughts on the new TV spots, Jason? What were some of your favourite bits?
I'm just dying to see this series. If they stay true to what they normally do, what we've seen already is probably in the first 2, maybe 3 episodes, which is exciting in itself. The characters were, we've had Balin. That just, I'm intrigued by that character. Obviously, it's come out. I've read everywhere how he's not a Sith, he's not a Jedi. He's turned his back and become like almost a mercenary. And he's got this apprentice Shin. He's sort of leading in the same direction. But the scenes where he talks to Ahsoka about how he knew about her through Anakin, and that there's lots of stuff, and we're all pretty convinced that Hayden Christensen's going to be in Ahsoka in some form, and I think it probably will be flashbacks. But I don't think necessarily it'll just be with Ahsoka. I think we're going to see the relationship with Anakin and Balin maybe as well. That's been alluded to. Obviously, we got this Inquisitor character, which again, I was amazed that when the Inquisitors first appeared, we had like the Seventh Sister and all of these different sisters and brothers. But then obviously wherever they gave her a name, and now is it Moloch? Trying to remember the name that they've given to this new Inquisitor character. That obviously, the time of Ahsoka, we'd assumed that the Inquisitors weren't going to be about because obviously Vader and the Emperor have supposedly been destroyed. So obviously they're the remnants, or are we going to see that these are scenes from flashbacks from when Ahsoka was, on the run from Vader after the events of the Clone Wars? So there's so much stuff that we've been thrown at. We've had the look at Grand Admiral Thrawn as well, which excites me. Because I just think the fact that they've used the same actor that voiced him, and he does look perfect for the role. I'm really pleased that they've done that. There's just too much to unpack, really. There's so much going on in all of the different TV spots. The return of David Tennant as well, which intrigues me because obviously we've got this theory that, or this look that Sabine was being trained by Ahsoka. So obviously, was she involved in Luke Skywalker's rebuilding of the Jedi? And I know there's lots and lots of people saying, is Luke Skywalker going to appear in Ahsoka? I have a feeling he could well do.
Yeah, I think the TV spot, I think that Inquisitor, I think, the Empire falls, and if there's any Inquisitors left who don't get hunted down, they probably do either go to league for themselves, or, do they follow sort of the Emperor's protocols, which was sort of, getting the Imperials out and into the unknown lands. So I think that'll become apparent, but I think this Inquisitor maybe, went into business for himself after the fall of the Empire. As for Baden Skull and Shin, they're certainly not Jedi, and they're not Inquisitors. I wonder if they were Inquisitors, and if they, like, once the Empire fell, like, right, we'll go into business for ourselves. Obviously, in one of the TV spots, we do see Anakin, but it's episode 2 Anakin.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if that was like a new shot or if it was taken from the Kenobi flashback.
It looked like it's obviously the older Hayden, but I don't know. It did look like the Kenobi flashback.
Yep.
Anakin, but hopefully, I'm pretty sure he's going to appear, and obviously flashbacks are the obvious choice. I know there's been a lot of mention of him as a Force ghost as well, but I think it'll probably be flashbacks. And as I say, I don't think it's just going to be flashbacks involving Ahsoka.
Yeah, so obviously we've seen that image of him, as episode 2 Anakin, but we're not sure if that's from the Kenobi production. But also there was a Hayden voiceover of him delivering the same lines that he delivered to in the Clone Wars when he's training her. So he's almost Hayden's version of the Atlanta lines, which was really got my arms on and said, so, Hayden Christensen definitely has recorded dialogue for this show, 100%. And I said quite possibly recorded some sequences as well, which is fun. For me, give us it all. Give us the flashbacks. Give us the Force Ghost. Why not? This is the show. For me, this show needs to go all in. I think this could be the biggest Star Wars show ever if they do go all in on it.
Exactly, and I completely trust this show because of the fact that it's got Dave Filoni all over it. This is Dave's brainchild, and he is, to all intents and purposes, George Lucas's apprentice. So this, to me, is probably one of the most exciting shows to come out of Lucasfilm since Mando.
Definitely. And then obviously, what's your thoughts on, they've teased in the dialogue that Ahsoka has trained Sabine in one way or another. Perhaps just in lightsaber
Yeah,
combat, but like, is Sabine a Jedi or not? Like, what's your thoughts?
I've still got issues with that because I think, from my feelings from what I saw in Rebels, and I recently rewatched Rebels, I don't think that she had that sort of, um, those sort of powers. I think she could easily be skilled with a lightsaber, um, but I don't think she showed signs of being a Jedi. Um, So yeah, I'm not sure, but again, the thing is, these are all teases. Um, I just trust Filoni to have led the way properly, and I look forward to seeing what Sabine's arc is. Obviously, my biggest thing was when I first saw the photographs of Sabine with her long hair and that I was like, oh, this isn't the Sabine I know and love. And then when I saw, obviously she cuts off the hair and goes back to the Sabine we know and love, I thought, yeah, this is a passage of time. And we're going to see, what happened to Sabine after the events of the end of Rebels. And obviously, Dave Filoni's come out and said that Ahsoka is in effect season 5 of Rebels, and I am never going to argue with that because I love Rebels.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't believe she's force sensitive, so I don't believe she has force powers. I think Ahsoka has like trained her in the ways of the Jedi lightsaber combat in respect of Ezra's lightsaber, and in fact she carries it. I think there's another bit in the TV spot where I think Shin tells her, you have no power, which I think was a dig at us for say, like, you're swinging the lightsaber around, you're doing good, but you don't have these abilities. But who knows? Maybe we'll all be shocked when she does something. But I just feel that Kanan would have realised, she would have told Kanan, because remember, like, the Ghost Crew being when Rebels first start, the Ghost Crew are already together, just without Ezra, if that makes sense, and already a family. So I don't believe she's a force sensitive. I don't think she's been learning the ways of using the force in that respect, but I do believe she's been using the ways of lightsaber combat, respecting the lightsaber, and sort of what to expect when Ezra comes back if he does. And I love the fact she cuts the hair. It's very reminiscent of Kanan in Jedi Knight when he cuts his hair off before he goes to rescue. When he goes to rescue Hera, obviously before he obviously sacrifices himself for the greater good to save everybody. So yeah, really love those spots. Anything else in any of the TV spots that you've seen that you want to talk about?
No, I think there was so much in each of them. Obviously, seeing the different ships. So we've got Ahsoka's ship. We've got the Ghost back in action. I'm just excited to see what this series brings. In some ways, I don't want to prophesize what it's going to bring because I want to enjoy the ride. Because when I look back at Rebels and how much I enjoyed that, I just know I'm going to enjoy this.
Definitely. I think, as I said, this could be the biggest Star Wars show yet. I think, they've showed us a lot of lightsaber combat already, and they've showed us a lot of ship combat. And that's why I think this could be, like, huge, because I think it's going to be, like, it's not going to shy away from anything, so you're on, like, full throttle on all fronts. And then we're also, not only is it going to be, like, a lightsaber spectacle and a starship spectacle, but then we're also going to be hit with the deep feels of, Hayden Christensen being back as Anakin Skywalker, possibly seeing Luke Skywalker, seeing the rise of the First Order. Maybe we're going to see the remnants of the Jedi. Like, there's just so much going on that this is going to be a fever dream, in the best way possible.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's become apparent that Filoni and Favreau have got a plan in action. I don't know if you've seen the latest rumours that there's been that Mando season 4 could be turned into a movie, which I hope it isn't. I want to see a full season. I want to see that hopefully lead into what we're going to get from Dave Filoni in his film. I just hope, with things that are going on with the writers' strike and that, they don't decide to cut back on what they were going to give us with Mando season 3 and turn it into a shorter form with a film.
Yeah, I mean, so the writers and actors strike now is obviously anything could happen, but I think they'll stick to the guns where they announced Dave to do a movie which will tie it all in at the end, which is how it should be still.
Yeah.
But Mando season 4 again, nobody's writing on that currently. They can't do anything with it. Andor's shut down. Andor season 2. Until further notice, really. So. It's a strange one. When the writers went on strike, they were still running Andor as best they could. Without like any writers being on site, and like Tony Gilroy not being there, things like that, which is a bit shady to be honest with you. But then obviously now the actors are on strike, it's down, and none of these projects can get moving until it's rectified. Sadly.
Yeah, no, it's a case of obviously they've got to get their acts together because at the moment there's still output because of stuff that was filmed pre-strike. But they're getting to a dangerous period where there's going to be a period of time where all of a sudden there's no new material.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And it's dangerous for the box office because some cinemas and movies have struggled, right? But just this month it's had a big resurgence. With Oppenheimer doing really well, Barbie doing really well at the box office, Mission Impossible Director doing really well at the box office. So it's quite like a big resurgence, that they need to continue with. But now they're going to get the point where there'll be a point in a year and a half's time where there's not much coming out because nothing was in production or production had stopped. So the longer this goes on, the more hurt they're doing themselves.
Exactly. You've just got to look at how COVID affected cinemas. If you stop the output, you've then got to win the crowds back afterwards, and that's not an easy task.
No, definitely not. Any other Star Wars news that you want to cover, Jason?
No, I think we've pretty much covered the stuff I was thinking of at the moment. Obviously, I'm getting excited. September the 1st sees a lot of new Lego releases. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll be able to get started on my advent calendar, hopefully. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to what's coming there. I've got a few events that I'm hopefully going to be attending. Don't want to spoil anything at the moment, but got a few things in the pipeline that I'm hoping are going to come to fruition.
Good, exciting times. Well, so obviously the Ghost coming out on September 1st. Any other Lego sets that you're going to get September 1st or that you want?
The main one that I really want is obviously the Ghost and the Advent calendar. They're the main ones. I've got a few projects I want to do with those. I'm working on loads of different stuff at the moment. But yeah, no, they're the main ones. But they're obviously I know they've got a Ahsoka ship that's coming out, which looks really good. Obviously August they released the kit with Bo-Katan from The Mandalorian, which again is something that I'm very, very tempted by at the moment. So there's so much stuff out there, and so much Star Wars goodness to be had. And obviously we're heading towards that time of year where we're going to get lots and lots of new releases ready for us to spend our money in December.
Yeah, almost definitely. It's exciting times. Obviously, speak about something a bit, obviously not exciting, something a bit sad. Obviously, Paul Rubens passed away, sort of this month. So obviously most famously known as Pee Wee Herman, but obviously was the voice of RX-24, who was the original droid on the Star Tours ride before he was replaced with C-3PO. But obviously now has new life in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge in Ogre's Cantina as the DJ Rex. And Paulie Rubin obviously did the voice of that. And then I'm also pretty sure I put him come and voiced him for the Rebels episode where they are traveling on the Star Cruiser.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
So obviously, our thoughts are with Paul's friends and family everywhere he knew, and we're very grateful for his contribution to Star Wars, because it'll live forever with DJ Rex in that theme park.
Definitely.
Any other merch came your way? Any? I think last time I spoke to you, you'd just gotten a bucket, but there'd been some issues with it, but they've been fixed. Is that right?
Yeah. No, I have got my Trapper Wolf helmet, and I am more than happy with it. And yeah, it's something that I wanted to get because obviously, as you know, I'm a huge fan of Dave Filoni. And I love Trapper Wolf as a character as well. So, yeah, I was pleased to get that. Now I've got to look at getting myself a flight suit and everything else that goes with it. But yeah, one thing I've invested in that I'm looking forward to exploring a bit more is the Funko Star Wars Rivals, which was a big thing at Celebration. Whilst I was up in London for the Showmasters event, I picked up my starter set, and I bought a couple of the blind boxes where you get the booster pack. So you get you can choose either the dark or light side character booster pack, and you get one of the models and all the cards and everything you need to play the game. So obviously I got a couple whilst I was up in London and just recently discovered that Tesco's are doing them. So I picked up a couple more. Sadly, I got a duplicate of Chewbacca, but I did manage to pack, for my dark side, I picked up Captain Phasma. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into collecting that and, you know, finding someone to sit down and play the game with me, because that looks like a lot of fun. So something to enjoy with a few beers.
Definitely. So whereabouts have you got your Trapper Wolf helmet on display?
At the moment, it's not on display. I need to find somewhere. At the moment, I need to sort that out. I've got way too much stuff to display. But that I have to admit that is a really nice thing to have in my collection. My dream, I suppose, would be to do a costume and then meet Dave Filoni. That'd be the dream.
It certainly would be. Any closing points to make before we wrap this up?
No, just obviously 10 days to go till we get the launch of Ahsoka, which I cannot wait, and I'm pretty sure we'll be sat here week after week discussing each episode, and I'm really looking forward to that, having something to get our teeth into. Obviously, we've got more Star Wars stuff hopefully on the way with the likes of the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. So I'm looking forward to that, and also seeing all the new stuff that's going to be popping up on the market soon, ready for what I term as the silly season.
Indeed. Well, few things from me. If anybody has any hookups for Taylor Swift UK tickets, please let me know. I missed out on them and I need them badly. So anybody's got any hookups on the Taylor Swift tickets, do contact me, please. But no, other than that, Jason, the famous old question: where can the people find you on social media?
Well, I think it's still at Hondo Ling.
That's the one.
I'm just not sure now that Mr. Musk has been playing around with everything.
I haven't downloaded the new app, so mine's still Twitter. I refuse to download.
Yeah, mine's still. Mine's got this X thing, and yeah, it doesn't sound right. When you used to say that you were going to send a tweet, and now you're saying you're going to send an X, it just doesn't quite sound right to me.
Oh, it's just silliness, isn't it? Very silly. But who are we? Because he's the rich man, I suppose, who created Tesla. But it's silly. It's silly.
Yeah.
But no, you can find me on social media at Geordie Jedi Pete. That is on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find the podcast on Twitter at BorsStar. And you can also find the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Star Wars Podcast. Please follow us there. How are you listening to this? Are you listening on Apple Podcasts? Are you listening on Spotify? Are you listening on a different type of one? If there's an option there, please leave us a top review. Give us the maximum amount of stars. Nice little comment. Takes you a couple of moments, but it makes me and Jace smile so much. And it helps other people find the show. But no, thank you very much for listening. And remember, always tell that to Kanja Club.
Hello, Star Wars listeners. This is Savannah Odit. You might know me as host of The Dorky Diva Show with my co-host Brian Balance. I am also producer of The Adventures of the Zolan Dart, which is a Star Wars-inspired audio drama that we produced over the last year. If you love stories about smugglers, courage, heroic characters, and maybe a few foes along the way, you should go to thedorkydivashow.com and listen to The Adventures of the Zolan Dart today.
Shout! We've got your pigs.
Were any of the critters harmed?
What did you do now?
I didn't do anything. I just freaked out for no reason.
It was nice doing business with you again. Maybe next time we could deliver something less temperamental.
Now, what you call temperamental, I call fun.
Hey, is there a place nearby where I can make some repairs?
3 clicks south of here, you'll find a small spaceport. They should have what you need, as long as it's nothing too big.
Dynamic class? My stars, you don't hear about many of those still being space-worthy.
It's been in my family for a while.
She's pretty great. Any chance you have a hover cart we can use to load up?
I'll check out the HoloNet to see if anything new has come up in the sector.
My name is Sereth Khan. I am the chief here on Kamai. My people and I have been experiencing food shortages as of late due to unforeseen natural occurrences. We are looking to hire someone.
I say we take this one. The pay is great, and it's the type of job we're familiar with.
Welcome. You must be Captain Otoa. I've already sent word to Pack 2 to expect you in the next cycle or so.
You told him we were coming before we even accepted the job. That's rather presumptuous, isn't it?
Perhaps, though once I received confirmation that you were interested and on your way here, I couldn't help but hope.
Fair enough. Well, we'll be back as soon as we can.
Well, that's not good.
Is that blaster fire I hear?
So you're the one.
Captain, it sounds like they want to do this the hard way.
I love when they got some fight in them.
This is bad. This is bad. We're about to have a lot of company.
I'll see you soon.